Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2012 Chevrolet Traverse, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the etrailer.com Class 3 2-inch trailer hitch receiver. So one of my favorite things about this hitch is that it's going to be completely hidden whenever you're not using it. So you're really going to be able to maintain that factory look back here. But whenever you are ready to use it, it's going to be super easy. This little center panel here is going to pop off. So you just rotate the knob on each side. It just pops down, and now we're going to have full and complete access to our hitch. So the Traverse is a super versatile SUV, and people use them to do a little bit of everything. So you're going to want a hitch that will be up to the task. And this one is going to pretty much handle anything you want to throw at it, so you really can't go wrong. Since it is a Class 3 hitch, it's going to have that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening. That is a super common size, and you should be able to find just about any type of accessory that you would want to use with it. It's going to have a reinforced collar for extra strength and a standard 5/8 size pinhole. But keep in mind, a pin and clip does not come included. But if you need one, you can pick it up here at eTrailer. It's going to have plate style safety chain openings, which do sit a little bit further back, but they still are going to give us enough room to use just about any size hook that we might have. Now, something I did notice, and I think is worth mentioning, that the hitch does sit a little bit further back. So that's something you want to keep in mind if you plan on using any of those folding type accessories. You want to make sure, before you pick them up, that you're going to be able to flip them into that upright position without hitting the bumper here. So the hitch is going to have some pretty impressive weight capacities. As far as the maximum gross tongue weight rating goes, it's going to be 500 pounds. And that's going to be the amount of weight that's pushing down on the hitch. So that's a pretty high number, and you should be fine using just about whatever size bike rack or cargo carrier that you would want to, for example. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, it's going to be 5,000 pounds. And that's going to be the amount of weight that's pulling on the hitch. So it is the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have on it. Now this can be used with a weight distribution system, which is a separate component, but if you do use that, the weight capacities do increase a little bit. Maximum gross tongue weight rating goes up to 600 pounds, and the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes up to 6,000 pounds. Now I do always suggest it's never a bad idea just to check in your Traverse's owner's manual to make sure your Chevy can pull that much weight safely. So now I'm going to give you a couple of measurements, and you're going to use these to help figure out which hitch-mounted accessories to get. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be 19 inches. So if you do plan on doing some towing, chances are good you're probably going to need to get a ball mount with either a straight shank or a very slight drop. From the center of the hitch pinhole to the edge of our rear bumper, that's going to be about 6 inches. And you're going to use that measurement to help figure out that if any folding accessories you might have can be stored in that upright position without contacting the bumper. Now if you do plan on doing some towing, I would recommend picking up some trailer wiring. That way the lights on your trailer will match up with the lights on your Traverse, and you'll be safe and legal. Now as far as the installation goes, believe it or not, it's really not too bad. I'd say the most important thing is making sure that the threaded holes in your frame rail are nice and clean. But other than that, everything's really straightforward and easy to get to, so it shouldn't take you a whole lot of time. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and put the hitch on together now. To begin our install, we're going to be working underneath the back of our Traverse, and the first thing we're going to do is remove this little fascia panel. So pretty simple. We're going to have like a twist knob on each side. You'll turn them and just pull down. It'll pop out, and we'll set it to the side. So now we're going to need to lower our exhaust to give us some more room to work. Before we do that, what I like to do is take a strap, just kind of run it from side to side. That way we can kind of control how far we let our exhaust down and how fast we let it down as well. To lower the exhaust, we're going to have a rubber isolator hanger on each side of our muffler, so one here and one kind of tucked up here in this corner. So to get these off, it's a good idea to spray them down with some soapy water or some lubricant, something like that. And then we can just take a pry bar and kind of work the rubber portion off of the metal hanger. Now that we have it released, we can loosen up our strap a little bit, and that'll give us that extra room that we need. Now we can go over our attachment points and the hardware that we're going to use. And from this point on, anything we do to one side of our Traverse, we're going to do to the other side because it's set up the exact same way. So on each frame rail, we're going to have a total of 2 attachment points. There's going to be one here and here. And these holes here are actually threaded to accept our hardware, which will be a bolt and a conical tooth washer. We're going to make sure that the teeth on the washer will face up towards the hitch. Now, since these have been exposed, it's a good idea to spray them down with some penetrating oil or something like that, and use something to clean all that dirt and debris out. Now ours were in pretty good shape. You're able to thread that bolt in nice and easy. In some cases, these can be pretty rusty, and sometimes just cleaning them out with a brush like this doesn't do the trick entirely. So if that's your case and it's really difficult to get your bolts threaded in there by hand, you may have to go to your local hardware store or auto parts store and pick up a tap, which is something like this. And that tap, you'll thread that up in them holes, and it'll really do a great job of cleaning them threads out, allowing you to easily install your bolts. And here in the center of our bumper beam, we're going to have 2 more attachment points. We'll be using this opening here as well as this one here. Now, some models of the Traverse, these attachment points are actually threaded well nuts, just like the ones on our frame. In our case, these are just bare openings. If you have wall nuts, you'll use the same hardware that you use on the frame rails. If you don't, like we have here, we're going to be using some different hardware. I'm going to show you how to do that now. To get our hardware in, we're going to take one of the pull wires, push it through that attachment point and to the side. And that pull wire is going to come out of your bumper beam there. What you're then going to do is take a spacer block, slide it over, and one of these carriage bolts. The carriage bolt is going to thread onto the pull wire. And just thread it on there. And then what you're able to do is feed that hardware into the bumper beam. You can pull the other end of it. You may have to kind of work it around to get it through. What will happen is that bolt will drop down through the attachment point there. So I'm going to do that same thing for this one here. So now with an extra set of hands, we can put our hitch in position. So you're going to take your pull wires, run them down through the corresponding holes here, and raise it up into place. And we're going to take our hardware, and we want to be sure to get at least one started hand tight. That way the hitch will support itself while we work on the rest of the bolts. As far as the bolts in the center go, we can remove our pull wire, and each one of these is going to receive a flange nut. Now at this point, we can use a 3/4 inch socket to snug down all of our hardware. And then we can come back with a torque wrench and tighten all the hardware down to the amount specified in our instructions. Now that we have our hitch torque, we can rehang our exhaust. We'll just do this by hand this time. And again, it does help to spray those down. Just slide them hangers back in place. Now that it's supporting itself again, we can go ahead and remove our strap. And if you plan on using your hitch right away, you would leave your cover off. But if it's going to be a while and you want to keep it hidden, you simply reinstall the cover the opposite way that we removed it. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com Class 3 trailer hitch receiver on our 2012 Chevy Traverse.